back to the Mookie Chilson channel, and you are looking live at downtown Philadelphia. This is the Philly Show recap. I had an outstanding jaunt down to the suburbs of the city of brotherly love, the card show that is nowhere near this William Penn statue or the art museum or the Rocky statue with the Mr. Met plushie hat on that I put on him. I had hoped that my buddy Pete would go down with me on Saturday. He couldn't go. I couldn't go Sunday. And so the choice was go down Saturday solo or not at all. And I went solo. I had some hobby funds left over from the National. And I went in looking for two specific cards. One was the 1949 Bowman Yogi Berra, which I found a bunch of different versions of, but couldn't pull the trigger. None of them were right. But then there was another one. That was a much bigger card. And frankly, this was the one that I was hoping I would find more. It is an outside the bun card for your buddy, the pinhole collecting, Mets loving fan. And I actually found it. And I bought it. And with some incredible help from some real YouTube all-star friends. And the story of the purchase is fun and interesting. At least I had fun, and I was interested by it, and I hope you'll stick around for it. But of course, when you go to the Philadelphia show, you're going to meet other friends there. Tony from TJ is Online was, of course, there with Don from the show and me, and it was great to hang out and talk to them for a little bit and chat cards. Dan from Dan's Vintage Baseball PC was there. He, my fellow New York area guy, I went down. It was fun to chat with him, and he has some interesting stuff he teased to me that I will hope he will reveal to you soon. I also had the chance to meet my new friend David, who is a viewer of a lot of the content here on YouTube. And it was just a real treat to get to meet him and shake his hand and give him a hug and say thank you for your kind support. We chatted for a while. We had a nice long discussion. And at the end of it, or somewhere in the middle of it maybe, he gave me some cards. And I was blown away by them. And they are firsts. They're absolute firsts here at the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame. And I will show you them now. There are three 1933 Gowdy cards. Larry Benton, pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Seen here in this beautiful Gowdy card. And you can probably spot next to the O in Benton, that pinhole there. You can see it better on the back. So cool. I did not have a single 1933 Gowdy card in my collection, let alone one that was put up. Again, the kid who put this up on his wall was going through some rough times probably. Didn't have a lot of money. There was a depression in the middle of the distribution of these cards that I'm sure this kid and his family were feeling. But this card gave this young man solace, and he put it up on his wall, just like he did with this Jim Bottomley card. Now, Jim Bottomley is a Hall of Famer who won an MVP for the Cardinals in 1928, and same thing. Look at that pinhole. Now, you notice that the pinhole is through the cap, as David pointed out to me. And the reason it's through the cap, and I agree with the placement here, it's not probably through the scalp of this guy's head. You don't want to go too near to the top of a card in the border. Otherwise, you'll suffer a blowout, and the pinhole will do even more damage than its intended goal. And Jim Bottomley is now in the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame, thanks to David. And the third card, which is the most fascinating card of the three, to be honest with you, is Tony Lazzeri. Now, we all know Tony Lazzeri is a second baseman, the big-time second baseman, Hall of Famer for the Murderers Row Yankees of the 30s. He was a well-liked and well-loved ball player who made the Hall of Fame way after his death. He died young, I think at 43 years old, something like that. But the young person who owned this card absolutely loved it. I think they loved this more than the others because can you see you got the pinhole up here and you got a crease because anytime you're pulling pins out and pulling cards off the wall, you're getting creasing around it. But you see the speckled spots of splattered ink? My guess is those speckled spots of splattered ink are from an inkwell, and that this was near the young man's desk or area where they did homework. And I bet that Tony Lazzari took some incoming from the ink well being dipped in and out with a pen. And so that's my guess. That's this baseball card anthropologist's guess. And so this card is a whirlwind of fun and excitement for me here at Mookie Chilson World Headquarters. And it's all thanks to you, David. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. And these will go on the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame that I will find space for because, as I told David, the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame is a living, breathing document, always expanding and contracting and replacing and updating. And so, and that will have to happen again because not only did I have these 1933 Gaudis, I got this. This is a yours truly variation of the 1939 to 1946 exhibit cards of Hank Greenberg. My first ever Hank Greenberg card is a pinhole card, and you can see it here. Again, there's all kinds of crusty old merchandise that gets put out onto the tables at the Philly show, and this was in a pile somewhere that I had time to dig around in, and I was so happy to find it. Again, it's all creased up and crinkled, but that's a Hank Greenberg card right there. And so that will go on the Wall of Fame, the great slugging first baseman for the Detroit Tigers. I was so happy to find that. And frankly, I was happy to find that for a couple reasons. Number one, because it's my first Hank Greenberg card. And number two, because I wanted to show B. Roth, who was a Hank Greenberg-ologist. And so I brought it over to B. Roth, who was down there setting up at the Philly show, like he was last year when I saw him there, having a great show. And I showed him. I said, "Look at this card." He said, "Oh, that's great. That's great." Of course, he's got cards that are, multiples of thousands of dollars in the Hank Greenberg lane, but he still enjoyed, I think, taking a look at it. And while I was there, I asked B. Roth if he knew anything about this other card that I was looking for. The card, the outside the bun big boy card that I wanted to buy was 2 tables over from where B. Roth was set up. And I asked him about it. I said, "Do you know anything about this card?" And he said, "No, I don't. That's not my thing. But you know who does is Andrew from Nuff Said Cards. I'm going to text him. I'll text him and get him over here. He's here." And of course, anybody who knows anything about pre-war and non-sport pre-war knows that Andrew from Nuff Said Cards is like, one of the gurus on YouTube. And so I have seen his stuff. I'm subscribed to his channel. And when he said that, I said, "Oh my God, that's amazing. If that'd be great. You don't have to do that. I don't want to impose on anybody." He said, No. He's a friend and he'll come, if he's around, he'll come. I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go start talking to this dealer because I had found the card that I think I want." But the problem was there were 3 versions of it. And I'm going to show you the card that I think I wanted. It was this. The N76 Duke and Sons Abraham Lincoln Great Americans. Now, this is a big boy card. And when I went over to the dealer, a guy named Alex, so probably many of you non-sport buyers will know Alex, he had 3 of these at his table. And one was a little bit shorter. It was like this size without the Duke and Sons underneath it, that he said was from an advertisement, a piece of cardboard that was cut, and it didn't have anything on the back. It was blank backed. Now this one has all of the checklist on it. This beautiful 1888 printing. And he had a third one that was this full size as the front, W. Duke and Sons, and it had a blank back. And so there were 3 different price points. This was the one in the middle. And this was the one that looked sort of classically like the one that I was interested in, but I had not seen the variations before, so I didn't know what was going on. And so there was a real sort of informational disparity. The dealer knew way much more than I did about these variations. And so I felt a little overmatched and intimidated about this card until Andrew from Nuff Said Cards showed up. And not only did he show up, and I introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm a fan of yours. I follow you. I watch your stuff. And he said, I'd love to help you out. Sure, I'd love to help you out. Let me take a look. And he actually knew the dealer, had bought stuff from him before, took out his jeweler's loop and started telling me and informing me right with the dealer standing there that, a lot of what the dealer had already told me. So there was no, disparity there between what they were saying. But he was arming me sort of telepathically with what I was thinking myself. He was sort of firming up, girding my own thought about which of the three cards is more desirable and which one I should probably be pursuing. He took out his jeweler's loop and looked at all of them. He let me take his jeweler's loop. This was a first for me at a card table, jeweler's looping. But I could not have been more impressed and more pleased with how kind and generous he was with his information and his time. And his affability. It was so easy to talk to him. I literally never met the guy before, and here he is guiding me on a purchase, one of the bigger purchases I've ever made. And eventually he said, okay, I'll be over at B. Ross and let me know how it turns out. And so I ended up talking to the dealer a little bit more. We went back and forth about trades. I had some cards I thought I might trade with him. But I ended up making an offer that I felt worked. And the dealer very graciously came off his price, not an insignificant amount. And this card is mine. And I love it. It's such a beautiful card. Now, why do I have a Abraham Lincoln card from 1888? I keep saying 19. I can't even say the words 1888 because it's so foreign to me. Because this is like classical, iconic America to me. This is the guy, again, as David said to me, the great emancipator. And by the way, right on the card is the Emancipation Proclamation rolled up there. And not only that, on top of it are the empty leg chains of slavery that are on top of it, that are no longer in use because of the paper that they're resting on. And so Abraham Lincoln is obviously an iconic American, maybe the iconic American. He is the key card in this set. And I don't think I'm going to be pursuing the entire set or anything, but I felt awesome about buying this card because Andrew helped me out. And frankly, my buddy Greg from Midlife Cards, I've been talking to him about this card for quite a while now. And so his guidance and help, I even talked to David about it at the show. All of these guys helped me feel good about spending the money I did on that card. And so now it's home. So I went over and I showed the card to B. Roth and Andrew, who were sitting there, and had the nicest conversation. My legs were gelatinous at that point. I was over the moon excited about getting this card. And I couldn't thank Andrew enough. As I said to them, this was like having Steven Spielberg come over and watch your movie before you release it and give you some notes. I said, this couldn't have been more perfect. And so thank you again to Andrew from Nuff Said Cards. I'm gushing, I know, but I think it's worth it. Thank you to B. Roth. Thank you to Greg from Midlife Cards. Thank you to David for this generous gift. And thank you to the city of suburbs of the city of brotherly love for treating your old pal Mookie so well in my 5-hour excursion to your town. And thank you to Abe Lincoln for coming into my collection. Welcome to the Mookie Chilson World Headquarters. No pinholes. And by the way, my buddy Shane Shoebox Legends, when I showed him the car, said, is there any more perfect designation for a card at the Mookie Chilson channel than MC? MC for Mookie Chilson. I will take it. Give it to me all day long. Yes. I'm so psyched. Anyway, that's it, I think. I'm going to end it for real. This time. Now. Thank you.